Hi there, it is time for Q&A Wednesday once and again. I love this evening because, I get my best ideas actually from current situations for my clients or questions that you all have been asking. And tonight I have a really great topic. We are talking about whether or not you really gained 5 pounds directly overnight because that's actually come up quite a bit this week, believe it or not. As a matter of fact, this morning I had somebody, anyway, it's just crazy every day. So here's the deal. We're going to talk about whether or not you can actually gain 5 pounds overnight. You can't. You can, but not what you think it is. So keep that in mind. But it's been a great week. It's really hot out. And so I am not joking. I actually went out and bought myself a couple pairs of shorts today just so I can run around in shorts and not be so hot. I never thought I would say that, it's just too hot. After about 100, I'm ready to go somewhere a little bit cooler. So hopefully you're doing better than I am. Okay, so for tonight's topic, just so we're not here all day, we're talking about whether or not, why you jumped on the scale and you've been doing everything you're supposed to be doing. You're sticking to your meal plan. You're sticking to your macros. You've been doing your cardio. You're lifting. You climb on the scale this morning and it's up 3 pounds and you're devastated. Guys, okay, let's talk about this. Because honestly, if you use a little bit of common sense and think about some of these things that we're going to talk about, you can't gain 5 pounds of fat overnight. You would literally have to eat over 10,000 calories in order to gain that much overnight, that much fat. And it's just not going to happen. And especially if you're eating really clean on a regular basis, if you're following a meal plan, if you're counting your macros, if you're tracking, and even if you messed up and did like one meal, it's not going to hurt you. You're not going to gain a bunch of fat overnight. It's when you consistently eat a bunch of garbage, more than your body needs, a lot of processed food, that you're going to actually start holding on to it and your body's going to start storing it. So let's talk about what that could possibly be. So first of all, the first thing I want to tell you, for those of you that know me, I am not a fan of the scale because it does not give you enough information. You realize that when you weigh yourself on just a regular old scale, it's weighing all of you and you're not all fat. You have bone, you have lean muscle tissue, you have water in your system. So it's not telling you. I know that there's some scales out there that will actually break it down for you. And of course they're not perfect, but they'll at least give you a better idea as to where it's coming from. But keep in mind that most scales don't tell you all that information. It just says you weigh this, right? It doesn't say, by the way, you're up a couple pounds because it's hot out and you're retaining water. It doesn't tell you that. So keep in mind that all it's doing is it's telling you what you weigh as opposed to a sack of potatoes, right? It's not giving you, it's not telling you how much of you is fat. Now, if you actually know your body fat percentage, if you've been to your trainer or your professional and you've had a body fat pinch or you've been fat tested, now keep in mind those handhelds are okay, but bioimpedance is not perfect. For somebody who actually stays really, really well hydrated, it actually gives me a number that's not even close. But anytime that you can get a good idea of where you're at, it's a benefit, because if you know your body fat percentage, you can actually take the scale number that you get and you can break it down and figure out how much of you is body fat. Makes a whole lot of sense, right? So here's what usually happens. Okay, reasons why the scale might be up like 5 pounds. First of all, most of us don't think about the fact that water weighs, right? A gallon of water actually weighs 8 pounds, okay? And I'm gonna tell you right now, I do not weigh myself the day after a cheat or a free meal, because when you eat more carbs, you retain more water, okay? So when I get on the scale a day after a cheat or a free meal, and yes, those are two different things, I'm up 5 to 8 pounds. So I already know I don't weigh myself the day. Sometimes I wonder when people are like, they text me the next day, oh my gosh, I'm up 10 pounds. Not usually, but why? Well, didn't you have a free meal or a cheat meal last night? Well, yeah. Okay, you have more food in you and you're retaining water. It's not fat, at least not yet. Now you continue on and that cheat meal becomes a cheat day, which becomes a cheat weekend. Yes, that can be a problem, but that one meal is not going to create that. So the reasons why you might be up weight, okay? Number one, you've had more carbs than normal, okay? Definitely, when you eat more carbs than normal, your body actually retains water, it absorbs more. Number two, if you are a woman, now I don't care if you still have a menstrual cycle or whether you have hit menopause, you still cycle, and there are times of the month that you do still retain water because of that. So again, one of the first things you should do when you step on that scale and before you freak out, start to kind of go through this list of what could it be, right? Because again, if if you're following your plan, it's not going to be fat. You're probably more than likely retaining water for one of these reasons. So a cheat meal, your cycle, your hormones, they fluctuate, and that can make a difference as to how much water you retain. You sometimes do retain more water with the heat. Altitude, if you fly, you actually will retain more water. When I travel, when I compete, I actually wear compression clothing for that reason, because actually I will have cankles by the time I get off the plane. So again, there's multiple things that can cause that. Not drinking enough water. Some people, when they start retaining water, think, well, then I should stop drinking water. Absolutely the wrong thing to do. It's exactly opposite. When you are not getting enough water, your body retains it because it's freaking out that you don't have to have enough water, because it has to have a balance for your electrolyte balance. It has to have water, sodium, magnesium, and potassium. And if you don't have enough water, you will hold on to it. Now, when you start to drink more water, your body will flush. Another reason that you might be up, if you've been drinking alcohol, you are probably also retaining water. And in this heat and drinking alcohol, double whammy, guys. And don't forget that, the downside to alcohol, and, once in a while is okay, but if you're pretty much drinking your summer away, the problem with that is that, number one, most of us don't make very good decisions when we're inebriated, right? Number two, your metabolism actually has to deal with the alcohol first. So your body doesn't even attempt to burn any fat while it's still dealing with the alcohol. And if you've got plenty of it, like you've spent a couple of days drinking, it could be up to 3 or 4 days before your body's finished dealing with that. It's not going to even attempt to help you out when you're now doing extra cardio to try and undo what you just did, right? So keep that in mind. If you've been eating things that do contain more sodium, you will retain water. So again, sometimes those scales go up and it's not what you think it is. Also, if you've had an incredible, maybe you lifted legs yesterday and you were setting PRs and, did some squats and it was amazing. When your body repairs muscle, it actually retains extra fluid in order to help that process. So, the day after I've done legs, my legs are a little swollen because they're repairing. They're building new muscle over top of those micro tears in my fibers. So I do tend to feel a little weird when I'm the day after a heavy lift, right? Also, there are some medications that do make us, hold water. There are also some that actually do make you gain weight. And if that is something that you're dealing with, you might want to talk to your doctor about that, because there's definitely some of those medications do mess with your leptin levels, your ghrelin, your leptin, which is your body's ability to know whether or not you're hungry or full. And so sometimes that can be a problem. I know that there's some antidepressant medications. Also, if you're on any sort of like cortisone shots, man, those can really mess with that. Now, that's a little different ball game, but just so you know, that might be something that you need to approach if you're using anything and you're not sure. However, there are medications that do sometimes mess with your water as well. Another one, and yes, I'm going to bring it up. Doesn't really matter to me. I know it's TMI, but get over it. If you are not having regular bowel movements, you are retaining excess waste in your system, and actually it can weigh more than you think it can. So, it's important that you go anywhere between 1 and 3 times a day. And if you're not, if it's been a couple of days and your weight is up, dude, there's a reason. Right? You need to be able to get the waste out of your system. It's not healthy for it to remain in your digestive tract, in your intestines, because your body keeps trying to absorb from it, and it can actually get really stagnant and cause some issues there. So, if that's something that you're struggling with, again, you might want to see your doctor. Jenny's asking 5 pounds overnight. Dude, it happens. It happens. Listen to the whole thing, because I start right out with, when I have a cheat meal, I'm usually up anywhere from 5 to 8 pounds. So that's just kind of how that rolls. So we've just talked about multiple reasons why you might be up 5 pounds, and not one of them was body fat. Now, again, if you regularly eat a bunch of junk at night before bed, especially if it's like ice cream, a lot of sugar, processed foods, pretty quickly, you're going to start retaining that. If you're spiking your insulin with sugar and garbage, you might be up 5 pounds within a week or so, because again, a calorie is not always a calorie. If you're eating a lot of processed food, it's already broken down into a form that your body can already absorb. It doesn't have to work as hard to break it down or absorb it and utilize it. And a lot of times, because it's more than it needs, it's going to store it. Plus, all of those toxins and the additives and preservatives that your body doesn't know how to deal with, your body has to protect you somehow, so it really quickly removes that and sends it to the storage unit of the body, which is your fat cells. So again, once in a while is okay. You're going to be all right. But most of the time when people overnight are telling me, oh my gosh, I'm up. I kind of go through the list and go, okay, what have you done the last few days? Are you tracking your food? What's different from normal? And it happens, there's things in our lives that happen, and most of them are normal. And as long as you know what they are, you keep in, that in your forethought that, I'm just probably retaining water. There are ways to deal with it. And stop putting so much, faith in the scale, guys. Who cares if it's water? It's easy to get rid of. It's when you're not being smart about your macronutrients and taking good care of yourself. That self-care we've been talking about. So hopefully that helps. Trying a couple of tips for me. I've always got tips, and realize that even though I've been living a very healthy lifestyle for, several years now, I still struggle just like the rest of you. I'm off season, I'm on grow season. I still struggle to not eat my feelings all the time. I know better how to deal with it at this point in my life, versus way back when I was 50% body fat, but I still struggle a little bit. So a couple of tips that I have, especially when it involves a scale. Please only weigh yourself once a week. Stop weighing yourself every day. It's going to fluctuate. And if you let that control your mood, or how you feel about life in general, you're going to really be frustrated. As a matter of fact, you're probably going to be devastated. I actually had a client once that, bless her heart, she was amazing. But if she was having a great day and that scale told her she was down, she would reward herself with something. But if it was up, she would just spiral into the most miserable situation, and then she would binge because she would eat her feelings. So either way, it didn't really matter. She really was in a destructive pattern where I eventually had to steal her scale for about 4 months to really teach her that what the scale tells you on a daily basis is not as important as maybe how your clothes feel. What does your trainer tell you your body fat percentage is? Are you stronger? Are you having to tighten your belt tighter? There are other things that are more important and give you more information, better information than the scale will. Use that number for what it's worth, which is the only time I need to know numbers. If somebody's long distance from me, I might check in a little bit, but really when I'm training somebody in person, I need their weight to know their body fat percentage. That's about it. I see the differences in their pictures and how their bodies are changing. I pay attention more to that. So pay attention to how your clothes fit. The size of your clothing and being able to buy a smaller size should be a much better telltale sign that you're actually making progress. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you know what's important and that you're getting progress. That scale just does not give you everything you need to know. So that's been Wednesday. Thank you for that Q&A. Thanks for tuning in today. If you do have any questions, please leave a comment below, or you can also message me directly. I get my best ideas from you guys. I always want to know what's going on that people need to know at this point. So whether or not it's some fad diet going through, or whether it's just a lot of malarkey that people are posting on social media that I kind of need to tell you about, I get my best ideas from you guys. So have an incredible night, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Have a good one, guys.